Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Kauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakaupatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we welcome everyone to our ongoing study of the Sri Isopanisad at the level of Bhakti Sastri. Is everyone is hearing okay? Sound is clear?
Yes, Maharaj.
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay, thank you. All right, so let's recite the mantras first. This evening we're going to begin mantra 5, and if there's time, we'll go into mantra 6. Right? So, Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Isya Vashyamidam Sarvam Yatkincha Jagatyam Jagat Tena Chaktena Bunjitaha Magridaha Kashisiddhanam Korvane Baha Karmani Chichiv Chatam Samaha Evam Twae Nanyate Tosti Nakarma Lipyate Nare Asurya Namate Loka Antinam Tamastarvita Tamste Pretya Vigachanti Yeche Chatmahano Janaha Anijat ekam manaso jabyo nainatevam apnuvam purvamashat tadjyavachyo nyanate tisat tasminapo matarishva dadati. Now, this evening we're going on to mantra 5, right? Tadejati tatnaejati Tadure tadvantike tadantarasya sarvasya tadu sarvasya bhayata. All right. Mantra 5. Translation. Translation. Let's see. Who has not read for us yet? Who's this? Harini? Is it?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Shubhamaya Harini, right?
Shubhamayi Harini Maharaj.
Yes. Okay. Would you read for us, please, Manaji? Translation.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Maharaj. Translation. The Supreme Lord walks and does not walk. He is far away, but he is very near as well. He is within everything, and yet he is outside of everything. Hare Krishna.
All right. So this is a interesting way to present the Lord. It's like something from Buddhism or impersonalism, the kind of language which is used in this verse. It doesn't seem to indicate a person, right? It's something, it's different from a person. It's almost like impersonalism. So please read the purport, Maraji.
Yes, Maharaj. Purport. Here is a description of some of the Supreme Lord's transcendental activities executed by his inconceivable potencies. The contradictions given here prove the inconceivable potencies of the Lord. He walks and he does not walk. Ordinarily, if someone can walk, it is illogical to say he cannot walk. But in reference to God, such a contradiction simply serves to indicate his inconceivable power. With our limited fund of knowledge, we cannot accommodate such contradictions, and therefore we conceive of the Lord in terms of our limited powers of understanding. For example, the impersonalist philosophers of the Mayavada school accept only the Lord's impersonal activities and reject his personal feature. But the members of the Bhagavata school, adopting the perfect conception of the Lord, accept his inconceivable potencies and thus understand that he is both personal and impersonal. The Bhagavatas know that without inconceivable potencies, there can be no meaning to the word Supreme Lord.
Okay, thank you very much. So, Srila Prabhupada is giving us the proper understanding of these statements when it says that the Lord can do things and he can do one thing at the same time he can do another. The contradictions, and we often see this also. We see this in the Bhagavatam also. Sometimes when the different devotees are glorifying the Lord, they present prayers and they will describe how, for example, how the Lord is unborn, but he takes birth, right? This is an apparent contradiction. Some say that he's unborn, but at the same time he takes birth. Now, how is it possible he's unborn, but he takes birth? This is his contradictory nature. And Prabhupada explains the purpose of these contradictions. What is the purpose? Maharaji, Harini Maharaji, what's the purpose of these contradictions?
The purpose is to indicate his inconceivable power.
Right, that the Lord has inconceivable powers. This is a very important point in getting people to understand the personality of Godhead, that they have to accept that there is such a thing as inconceivable powers. And we see this with the Lord, with his different activities. Of course, even sometimes great yogis can do inconceivable things, things which appear to be inconceivable to us, may be done by some great yogi, they get some yoga power, but the Lord is the source of all the yoga power. He's not just a great yogi, he's Yogeshwara. He's the origin of all the yoga powers. So Prabhupada talks about how the impersonalists, they try to understand these things. They try to explain what did he say? Prabhupada said, impersonalists accept only the Lord's impersonal activities. What would be the Lord's impersonal activities? Anyone could give an example of the Lord's impersonal activities? Or maybe easier to start with what are his personal features? What's the personal features which the Mayavadis reject?
Bhagavan, Hare Krishna Maharaj, Bhagavan features.
What is that Bhagavan feature?
Bhagavan, Satchidananda Sarupa.
The physical form of the Lord.
Sorry, what?
They reject the personal form of the Lord. Physical.
Yeah. Particular, what forms do they reject? What particular forms?
The deity forms, the Vigraha, the Satchidanand Vigraha form, which.
Well, they also worship, they also have their forms. They have their forms in their temple. Mayavadis also they keep forms. Sometimes they have Radha Krishna, sometimes they have Krishna, you know.
His leelas, his pastimes.
Huh?
His pastimes, Lord's pastimes.
Like which pastime? Which pastime?
That he has, I mean, he lived in Vrindavana, he killed Kamsa.
Avatara. Is Avatara?
You know, try to let everybody, when they speak, let them finish speaking. Don't interrupt a person while they're speaking. So, Mataji, what you're saying that what are you saying?
That he was born as the son of Devaki and Vasudeva, and he has killed Kamsa. He did so many pastimes, like
Okay.
Govardhan.
Right, yeah, these kind of leelas, the Mayavadis, they will give some kind of interpretation to this. They won't accept it as an actual fact. They will just try to make it some kind of mythology, and they'll give it some meaning, and say that it's not, it didn't actually happen like that, but it's just a story, and it's just told like that to present a message. But we understand that, you know, Krishna was actually a person, and he did perform many activities. And just like Prabhupada talks about the Bhagavad Gita, how people give their meaning, Mayavadis, they give an interpretation to the Bhagavad, to the Kurukshetra, and the battle of Kurukshetra, and the Pandavas. You know, they try to give everything a meaning. They say the Pandavas are the five senses, and Kurukshetra is the body, something like this. You know, they give some interpretation, they interpret everything. But Prabhupada points out that Kurukshetra is an actual place, and it is a holy place, and 5,000 years ago, a great battle took place there. And 5 Pandavas were people. They were persons who walked on the surface of the earth. But the Mayavadis, you know, they say, oh no, it's just all, it has some meaning. They try to give everything some interpretation. So they talk about the impersonal activities. Can you think of some examples of the Lord's impersonal activities?
Like sunlight, like
Sorry?
sunlight.
Yes, right. Yeah, like the sunlight. Yes. Krishna says, I am the light of the sun. And the moon also. So this is the impersonal activities of the Lord. Yeah. Like Krishna is talking in Vibhuti Yoga in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So he mentions so many different ways in which he is present in the world. And this is his impersonal activities. The sound and ether, the ability in man, and all of these things. We can say this is all the Lord's energy, but it's his impersonal activities. So Prabhupada points out that we're following the Bhagavata school, so we accept that the Lord has both personal and impersonal aspects to his personality. If he was only personal, then he would not be complete. And if he was only impersonal, then something would be lacking. It's not complete also. So we have to have the complete presentation of the Lord, that he's everything. Everything which exists comes from him. So we cannot deny that he's personal. We cannot deny that he's impersonal. He's everything. Everything is there in the form of his energy, his inconceivable potencies. And that's why he's the Supreme Lord. Okay, we'll go ahead. Who's not read yet? Let's see. Another Mataji. Vidya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yeah, would you like to read for us, please?
Yes, Maharaj. We should not take it for granted that because we cannot see God with your eyes, the Lord has no personal existence. Sri Isopanisad refutes this argument by declaring that the Lord is far away but very near also. The abode of the Lord is beyond the material sky, and we have no means to measure even this material sky. If the material sky extends so far, then what to speak of the spiritual sky, which is altogether beyond it? That the spiritual sky is situated far, far away from the material universe is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 15.6. But despite the Lord's being so far away, he can at once, within less than a second, descend before us with a speed swifter than that of the mind or wind. He can also run so swiftly that no one can surpass him. This has already been described in the previous verse.
Right.
Hare Krishna.
Do you remember what was said in the previous verse? How was it described in the previous verse? Do you remember?
Yes.
You can tell us. You don't remember, huh? Well, it said he has control over those who supply the air, the wind and rain. He surpasses all in excellence, right? And he can overcome all others running. So this is some of his qualities, indicating that he's a person. So the Prabhupada is describing to us how the Lord is far away. Why is he far away? In which place is he far? Where is he?
In the spiritual sky.
Yes, in the spiritual world, right? He's
Yes.
in the spiritual world. Where in the spiritual world? Spiritual world, you have different places, right? You have Vaikuntha, and then there's one other supreme planet. What's it called?
Goloka.
Yes, right, Goloka. So that's that's his home. He stays there, right? That's his abode. So that it's very far away from here, right?
Yes.
But at the same time, it's very near. In what way is he near? In what way is the Lord near? How is he near to us?
In as Paramatma.
Yes, right. He's in everyone's heart. So he's right with us. And if he wants, he can come within a second. He can come from the spiritual world faster than any airplane, faster than the wind, even faster than the mind. So this is his inconceivable power. So we're hearing about his wonderful qualities. We want to become fascinated by him. Think how wonderful Krishna is, right? Just like in Vrindavan, when Krishna picked up the Govardhan hill and held it up for a week to protect all the people of Vrindavan, all the people in Vrindavan They were thinking, wow, how wonderful Krishna is. So wonderful. So we're hearing about Krishna. We should also think, oh, Krishna is so wonderful. This way our mind should become absorbed. Think about Krishna. Okay, so we'll have somebody else read. Let's see, who else is there to read? What about Shobha Lalita? Bye. Mataji? Shobha Lalita?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes, you can read for us, please.
Yet, when the personality of Godhead comes before us, we neglect him. Such foolish negligence is condemned by the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita 9.11, where he says that the foolish deride him, considering him a mortal being. He is not a mortal being, nor does he come before us with a body produced of material nature. There are many so-called scholars who contend that the Lord descends in a body made of matter, just like an ordinary living being. Not knowing his inconceivable power, such foolish men place the Lord on an equal level with ordinary men.
All right. So Prabhupada referring us to Bhagavad Gita 9:11 about foolish people. Foolish people consider Krishna to be an ordinary person. So what's the difference then between Krishna and ordinary people? Why is Krishna not an ordinary person?
Beyond 4 defects, Maharaj.
No, Mataji is supposed to answer.
All right.
He is beyond the 3 modes of material nature, and also he is all his 6 opulences.
And
All
what
power, all beauty.
Prabhupada said he's not a mortal being. In other words, he doesn't die. So what kind of body does he have?
His spiritual body, transcendental.
Right. What's it made of?
It's not made of the material energy. It's a spiritual energy.
And what is that spiritual energy? What's its nature? The nature of the spiritual energy?
It's eternal.
Yes, it's eternal. Anything else? It's eternal. It's also
it never becomes old.
It's full of bliss and knowledge, right? Satchit Ananda, right? The spiritual bodies are all full of eternal, full of bliss and knowledge. Satchit Ananda Vigraha, we say. So this is Krishna. He comes into the world, but he doesn't come in a 4-armed form. He comes in a 2-armed form. He comes looking like an ordinary person. So it's bewildering for people. People think he's an ordinary person because he has a form like ours. At least people think Krishna has a form like ours, but actually it's us who have a form like Krishna, because Krishna is the original person and we have taken the form from him. Right? Krishna has in his original form in Goloka, he has a 2-armed form playing the flute. And we have a similar form. We are made in the same form as God. It's not that God took a form like us, but we took a form like him. So Krishna doesn't die, but foolish people, they think, oh, Krishna died. Maybe if you watch the movie on television, They may show Krishna's story, and they may show Jara the hunter. And you know what they say happened, right? What did they say? What did Jara do? The hunter, he came with his arrow and he fired it. And where did he hit Krishna?
On the feet.
On the foot, right? The arrow pierced Krishna's foot. And they say because of that, Krishna died, right? So it's very, very strange. You know, we don't hear people dying just because somebody hits them on the foot. Anyway, you know, this what actually happened is Krishna did a trick. Krishna did a trick because Krishna wants to finish his pastimes in this world. So when Jara fired the arrow into his foot, Krishna arranged for another body to appear. Not Krishna, but a Maya Krishna, an illusory Krishna. Just like when Sita was kidnapped by Ravan, when Lord Ram killed Ravan, he brought Mother Sita back, and then he built a fire, right? And he had Mother Sita enter into the fire. And what happened? The real Sita came out from the fire. The Maya Sita was burned in the fire, and the actual Mother Sita was not touched by Ravan. She was protected. She came out from the fire. Because Mother Sita, she's very pure and very chaste. She could never be touched by a person like Ravan. And similarly, Lord Krishna has a form of bliss and knowledge and eternity. He's not going to be killed by an arrow in the foot. But if you go there in Saurashtra, there's a place, is it Prabhashetra or somewhere like that in Saurashtra along the coast? There's a place, and they have a place where Krishna's ashes are there. And they say that when Krishna, after he was killed by Jara, they cremated his body and they put his ashes and they have a tomb there. So this is foolish. Foolish people, they don't understand that Krishna has a transcendental form. But Krishna played the trick. He did this trick because he wants the people who are atheistic, they're satisfied. They think, oh, this is Krishna. Krishna's dead now. Krishna's dead. All right, we have to cremate him. And then they put the ashes there and like that. You know, so for the atheistic, for the people who have no faith, who have don't believe in Krishna, Krishna played a trick like that, just to bewilder their minds. But actually, Krishna, the transcendental personality of Godhead, he could not be killed by an arrow, and he just disappeared from the world, and he left that illusion, that Maya form of Krishna, to fool the innocent, the foolish people who don't know about his inconceivable power. Is it clear?
Yes, yes, Maharaj.
Are there any questions about this from anyone? Because often people will ask you about this, that, you know, Krishna got killed, you know, didn't you know Krishna got killed? And his ashes are buried there and everything. If you read the commentary on this section in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a very wonderful commentary by one of the acharyas, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and he describes about a magician, how a magician came. He came to the palace of a king, and he did these amazing tricks. In front of the very eyes of the king, he seemed to make people die. And he also died himself. in front of the king, it appeared that this person, the magician, was burning his own body. And then a few days later, everybody came back, and the magician sent his daughter there, and the daughter said, everyone is well, and we're giving you back everything. And my father said, you should give some charity in appreciation for his magic tricks. So there are magicians who can do these kind of tricks. There are magicians, you know, sometimes we see simple magicians, they saw people, cut the lady in half and like that. So Krishna, he's the Supreme Lord. He can do these wonderful tricks. He can trick people into thinking that he died. But the Lord, he's the Supreme Lord. He has an eternal spiritual body. He's not subject to death. Okay. No questions on this? We'll go ahead. Let's have some men read. What is it? Anand Singh?
Yes, Maharaj.
Please read for us, Prabhu.
Yes, Maharaj. Because he is full of inconceivable potencies, God can accept our service through any sort of medium, and he can convert his different potencies according to his own will. Non-believers argue either that the Lord cannot incarnate himself at all, or that if he does, he descends in the form of material energy. These arguments are nullified if we accept the existence of the Lord's inconceivable potencies. Then we'll understand that even if the Lord appears before us in the form of material energy, it is quite possible for him to convert this energy into spiritual energy. Since the source of the energy is one and the same, the energy can be utilized according to the will of their source. For example, the Lord can appear in the form of the HHBVV, a deity supposedly made of earth, stone, or wood. Deity forms, although engraved from wood, stone, or other matter, are not idols, as the iconoclast contained.
Iconoclast.
Iconoclast.
Do you know the you know what kind of person is an iconoclast?
No, Maharaj.
Someone who he may go and break the deities. He doesn't have any faith. He hates deity worship, and he makes a point of going to temples and smashing all the deities. And he's very critical about people having any faith and any kind of worship where the deities are involved. Like that. You know, there sometimes Christians, they talk about, oh, you shouldn't worship any graven image. This is condemned in the Bible. So iconoclasts like that. You get these kind of people, crazy people. They go and break the deities. Okay, so so Prabhu, this maybe you can tell us about how the Lord is able to convert these from one energy to another. From the material energy can make it spiritual, right?
Yes, Maharaj. Because the Lord is the source of all energies, so he can convert into any kind of energy, be it spiritual or material.
Are we able to convert material energy into spiritual energy?
No, Maharaj, we cannot, because we have very limited capacity, and he has unlimited capacity, inconceivable potencies.
Well, what happens when we offer food to Krishna?
He does honor, he does take prasad.
So we don't do it, but Krishna does it at our request.
Yes, Maharaj.
Right? We offer the food to Krishna, and Krishna accepts the food, and so he purifies the food, he makes it spiritual, and we can take the remnant. It becomes spiritual because of contact by Krishna.
Yes, Maharaj.
And you know, devotees, we like to use things in the service of Krishna. So when we use something in the service of Krishna, does it remain material?
No, Maharaj, it doesn't remain material. It becomes transcendental.
Right. So you can see actually devotees, we do have the ability to transform matter into spirit. If we use something in the service of Krishna, it's spiritualized. Prabhupada often gave the example about the microphone. He said that this is spiritual because we're using it for Krishna. And just like tonight, we're using our technology, the Zoom technology in the service of Krishna. It's becoming spiritualized because of contact with Krishna, because it's in Krishna's service. If we use it in the service of the industry, the business corporation, or the family, the society, that's not spiritual, that's material. But because we're using it for Krishna, then the spiritual energy is activated, right? So Prabhupada said about non-believers, what people who have no faith in, in Krishna consciousness, they can't understand this philosophy. So how do they think of Krishna? What's their view of Krishna?
The non-believers think Krishna as an ordinary human being.
Right.
In avatar, just avatar, not avatar.
They think he's an ordinary, his body is made of the material energy, right? They think, and some impersonalists, they will think he's come from the Brahman, that Krishna comes from the Brahman, and that the Brahman is supreme. That's the impersonalist. But non-believers, they think that Krishna's just simply, a person in history, just a historic personality. They cannot understand anything about his transcendental nature. They say this is all stories, you shouldn't believe this is all mythology, it's not real. They talk like that. They cannot understand, beyond the power of their intelligence to understand. So then Prabhupada talks about, he gives the example about the deity, how the deity is made of material elements. But the deity is transformed into a spiritual form, non-different from Krishna. In fact, we say Archa Vigraha, that the Lord comes in the form of the deity. One of his incarnations in this world is in the form of the deity. So the deity is carved from material elements, earth, stone, wood, these things. And by the power of the devotees, because the devotees, they invite the Lord to enter into that form of the deity. Right? When we do the deity installation, then at that time, the devotees, they request the Lord to come into the form of the deity. So the deity is non-different from the Lord. And this way, the material energy becomes spiritualized due to the presence of Krishna, by the inconceivable potency of the Lord. Okay, we'll go ahead. What about Aravindaksha Krishna? Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yeah?
Yeah, Maharaj. In our present state of imperfect material existence, we cannot see the Supreme Lord due to imperfect vision. Yet those devotees who want to see him by means of material vision are favored by the Lord, who appears in a so-called material form to accept his devotees' service. One should not think that such devotees who are in the lowest stage of devotional service are worshipping an idol. They are factually worshipping the Lord, who has agreed to appear before them in an approachable way. Nor is the archa form fashioned according to the whims of the worshipper. This form is eternally existent with all paraphernalias. This can be actually felt by a sincere devotee, but not by an atheist.
Oh, all right. So more about the deity worship. Of course, people who have no faith, they often attack this system of worship, how we worship the Lord in the deity form, and they talk about it as idol worship, you see. So Prabhupada said, one should not think that such devotees are worshipping an idol. No, idol worship is not like deity worship. An idol worship, idol is just simply some material form. But the deity implies that the Lord is personally entered into the elements, and the elements have become spiritualized. So the Lord is personally present there in the deity form. So this is, of course, this is inconceivable. But as we said, you have to understand there is such a thing as inconceivable energy. And if we accept the existence of God, we have to understand he has inconceivable energies. So he can appear in material forms to accept the Lord, the devotee's service. He comes in the form of the deity to accept our service. We see in Mayapur, devotees make very nice dresses, beautiful dresses for the deity, and they cook wonderful offerings all day. So many programs for the pleasure of the deity. So Prabhupada said, we're not worshipping idols. We're worshipping the Lord. Personally, he has agreed to appear in a manner which we can. So, the deity can eat, the deity can speak, the deity can walk, right? All of these pastimes are there. If you hear the Chaitanya Charitamrita, you can read how Lord Chaitanya, when he was journeying to Jagannath Puri after he took sannyas, he went, first of all, to they were at the Shirakura Gopinath temple at Ramuna, and they heard about how the deity stole the sweet rice to give to his devotee. And then they went to Shakshi Gopal deity. The Shakshi Gopal deity, at that time it was in Cuttack, and they heard about how Krishna became the witness, because the Shakshi Gopal deity was originally in Vrindavan. But then he walked all the way to South India to be the witness. And then later on, the deity was brought back there to Orissa. The king of Orissa defeated the neighboring king, and he brought the deity of Shakshi Gopal back up to Orissa. So that deity walked, and he talked also. There's another devotee from the Ramanuja Sampradaya. He used to talk to the deity regularly, deity of Lord Varadraj. And the devotee was talking daily almost with the deity. And you know the story in Tirupati, Hatiram Swami was playing chess with Lord Balaji. Lord Venkateshwar would come and play chess with Hatiram Swami. So the deity can do all of these things. but he only shows himself to his devotees. You have to be qualified. Devotees, they get special favor by the Lord. Okay, so the deity is not just made according to the whims of the worshipper. No, the form of the deity is all described in the scriptures, and there's a tradition, and it's ancient culture. People who carve the deities, they do everything exactly. It's not whimsical at all. So ordinary people, they don't know the great science and the art by which people carve these deities, how they take so much care to carve and present the form of the Lord. All right, we'll go ahead. Shiva Subramanya Prabhu. Is he here? Shiva? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes, in the Bhagavad Gita, please read.
Yeah. In the Bhagavad Gita 4.11, the Lord says that how he treats his devotee depends upon the devotee's degree of surrender. The Lord reserves a right not to reveal himself to anyone and everyone, but to show himself only to those souls who surrender unto him. Thus, for the surrendered soul, he is always within reach, whereas for the unsurrendered soul, he is far, far away and he cannot be approached.
Yeah. So you can see pace to surrender. You want to see the Lord, you have to surrender. So how can we surrender? What does it mean? What do we have to do to surrender?
We have to surrender him by offering all our karma, all our work we are doing it, we have to surrender to him. And whatever we do with a sense of detachment, we should work for him. And bhakti, of course, bhakti and surrender are synonyms anyway. The normal literal meaning, bhakti and surrender are one and same. So bhakti itself is a surrender. So the Bhagavan talks about the depth of the bhakti. That's what he has been talking about here. But we really, though he is approachable and he reveals himself according to the depth of the bhakti.
Yeah, I'm a little worried when you talked about offering the results of work, because that's karma yoga.
Yeah, that is karma yoga. But
right.
that again transforms into bhakti. No? But initially, what he says, niskama karma, when you practice niskama karma, over the period of time, the bhakti will automatically come. That's what, when you work with the detachment, it will get into bhakti. Because the love for God, you are doing niskama karma because of the love of God. So that will consolidate and it will turn out into bhakti.
Okay.
So in 647, in Bhagavad Gita 6.47, Bhagavan says that he was explaining about all those dhyana yoga and other things he was explaining. And finally, he says that he leave everything and surrender to me. So all those things are there. And 247 also, he says the same thing. After in second chapter 47 also, Bhagavan says that you are not expected to expect any result. You work for me. That's what he says to Arjuna. That was a very powerful sloka. He says that you surrender to me. 247 also he says that. That's what he means. You are not supposed to, you don't have the right to expect any result. You do the duty. That's what he was instructing. So these all, it means that finally it will all result in bhakti only. That's what I understand.
Yes, well, karma yoga ends in surrender. We give the offering the result, but if we begin with bhakti yoga, the surrender comes in the beginning.
Yes.
Surrender first, and then do the work.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I say. The synonym, bhakti and the surrender are synonyms.
Okay, so Prabhupada's making the point that Krishna reciprocates. As we surrender, Krishna will reciprocate. If we surrender fully, then What can we expect from Krishna?
We surrender fully, we will be able to realize Krishna fully. Otherwise, in
What-
other terms, we can reach his abode.
What does Krishna say in the Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, 66, 65? He says, what? He said, just surrender, I give up all forms of, give up all your, what does he say? Give up all your material religion. Give
Yes.
up all your dharmas and
Yeah.
just surrender. I will free you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear.
Yes.
Right? So
Yeah,
this
he said
so that way protection is there. One who surrenders to Krishna, he can get full protection. Surrender means to accept everything favorable for Krishna and to reject everything which is not favorable. Remember 6 items of surrender? Did you study that when you studied Bhagavad Gita? The 6 items of surrender?
Yeah, that is in
18th chapter. 6
Yes.
items of surrender in the purport of 1866.
Yes, I don't remember it, Maharaj. Yes, it is there, but I don't remember it.
Okay, anyway, we should accept everything favorable for devotional service, and we should reject everything which is not favorable.
Yes, yes, you are saying that. Yes.
So what is not favorable? What will we reject? What things do we have to give up?
We have to give up all those materialistic thinking, materialistic work. We have to give up, and we have to do with we have to do all our work with the pure love for God.
Yeah, we have to give up intoxication, gambling, illicit sex, meat eating, these things.
Yeah, of course, those things come in the beginning of the bhakti, Maharaj. Is it not?
Yeah, well, anyway, that's what has to be given up, right? Completely. We stay far away from it. Completely no connection with it. And
Yes.
and what has to be taken up? What do we have to accept? Hearing, chanting, serving, offering prayers, these things.
Yes.
Then we have to know also, only Krishna can protect us. We have to understand that only Krishna is the protector. It's going to protect us, nobody else. We don't worry about anything else to protect us. We just depend on Krishna. And only Krishna can maintain us. You know, people worship demigods, they worship Lakshmi, they worship, you know, so many things for their maintenance. Devotee just depends on Krishna. Krishna is maintaining his devotees. Then a devotee has no desire other than Krishna's desire. And the devotee is also humble because he understands he's insignificant. It's very small servant, tiny servant of Krishna. So that is surrender. And when we surrender like that, when we fully surrender, then Krishna shows himself to those souls. Krishna reveals himself as we surrender. Sometimes we doubt Krishna's there, but if we surrender fully, then we'll actually know Krishna is really there. But if we don't surrender, Prabhupada said, it's far, far away. Well, he won't come, not interested. So Krishna's personal, he's very personal. You know, just like, you know, somebody, you know, sometimes you can have you get along with somebody, you're happy to be with them and be near with them, but somebody else, they're very different, you can't get along with them, they don't like you, you keep away from them, right? So Krishna's like that also. Okay, so we'll have somebody else sing, somebody else read for us.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
May I ask a question here related to Bhagavad Gita 4.11?
Yes.
The Bhagavad Gita 4.11 says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tamas tathaiva bhajamyaham. So some scholars, especially the Sankhya scholars uh, in eastern part of India, that is in Bengal, they say that it is Jato Moth Tato Poth. This 4.11 justifies this. So how to give reply, proper answer to them? That this does not mean that Jato Moth Tato Poth. No.
Well, Prabhupada would simply talk about, he said that where do you find all the paths lead to the same thing? There's no logic to support this anywhere. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said, one who worships the Devas, they'll go to the planets of the Devas. If you worship the forefathers, you go to their planet. If you worship the ghosts, you go to their planet. And if you worship Krishna, you go to him. So it's very clear that it's not all one. But they're claiming it's all one. But it's nowhere like that in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna saying you worship, you get the result. You do that, you do this, you go there. It's not that all go to the same thing. You go to the, Prabhupada talks of, you go to the train station, you buy a ticket, you go to that place. It's not all the trains are all going to the same place. They're all going different places. So there's no logic at all to support this argument that everything leads to the same thing. It's just nonsense. This is the foolishness of their speculation that it's all one. So you can quote that verse from Bhagavad Gita, that the worshippers of demigods go to the planets of the demigods, and worshippers of Krishna, they'll go to him. So it's not all one. How can it all be one? Very clear from Bhagavad Gita.
Yes,
Right?
Maharaj. Yes, Maharaj. That means paths are different, but so are the destinations also.
Sorry, what?
That
Paths,
means
the paths are different.
and so are the destinations also.
Yeah, destinations are also different. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So that's the most appropriate answer.
Mhm.
Yes,
All
Maharaj.
right.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay, so we'll go ahead. We have somebody to read. Let's see. Sumadurya Sham, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Sumaduri Shama Devi Dasi.
Oh, Sumadurya who?
Sumaduri Shama. Can I read, Maharaj?
Okay.
In this connection, two words are revealed scriptures often apply to the Lord. Saguna with qualities and Nirguna without qualities are very important. The word Saguna does not imply that when the Lord appears with perceivable qualities, he must take on material form and be subject to the laws of material nature. For him, there is no difference between the material and spiritual energies because he is the source of all energies. As the controller of all energies, he cannot at any time be under their influence as we are. The material energy works according to his direction. Therefore, he can use that
So,
energy.
concept to the after tomorrow exam, and you're saying me to press.
Therefore, he can use that energy for his purpose without ever being influenced by any of the qualities of that energy. In this sense, he is nirguna, without qualities. Nor does the Lord become a formless entity at any time, for ultimately he is the eternal form, the primeval Lord. His impersonal aspect or Brahman effulgence is but the glow of his personal rays. just as the sun rays are the glow of the sun god. Hare
Okay.
Krishna.
Thank you, Naraji. So Prabhupada is bringing up this point about Saguna and Nirguna. We should be a little familiar with these terms. They often come in Prabhupada's purports because people will argue that Krishna is Saguna with qualities. And so they think because Krishna has qualities, then he must also be in a material body, and he must be subject to the laws of material nature. In other words, they think he gets old and he dies. They're thinking him to be an ordinary person because he has qualities. But Krishna's qualities, Prabhupada points out, he said that Krishna may have qualities, but it doesn't mean that he has a material body. Krishna is the controller of all of these qualities. The material nature is under his control. He doesn't get old. He stays in the world more than 100 years, but he doesn't age. He has a transcendental body, not subject to any of the miseries of the material world. We don't hear about Krishna having toothache or headache or backache, any trouble. He's not worried about the coronavirus or anything. None of these things can affect him because his body is transcendental. So we have to understand the nature of the Lord, that there's no difference between the material and the spiritual energies for him. So even when he enters into the material elements, they become spiritual. He's not under any effect of the laws of the material world as we are. We're subject to karma. Krishna is not subject to karma. He doesn't get any karma. He didn't take his birth by the law of karma. He's the lawmaker. He's above the laws. So material energy works under his direction. So then Prabhupada says like that, he said, in this sense, he is without qualities because he's not influenced by any of these qualities. And at the same time, he has a form. It's not that he has no form. So we're fighting against this because this idea of God being impersonal and nirguna, and without form, without qualities, these ideas are spread everywhere. And we have to explain to them the proper understanding. People they often read these kind of books like the Upanishads, and they read them without the guidance of the Vaishnavas. Just like Bhagavad Gita, many people read Bhagavad Gita, but if they don't read the Vaishnava purports, then they get the wrong understanding of the Bhagavad Gita. The verse may be the same, just the translation of the Sanskrit could be the same, but the purport is very important. We have to have the purport from the Vaishnava, from the devotee, then we can understand. All right, we'll go ahead. Someone else to read. What about Sudarshanka Vasudev? Is it?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. When the child said Prahlad Maharaj was in the presence of his atheistic father, his father asked him, "Where is your God?" When Prahlad replied that God resides everywhere, the father angrily asked whether God was within one of the pillars of the palace, and the child said yes. At once, the atheist king shattered the pillar in front of him to pieces, and the Lord instantly appeared as Narasimha, the half-man, half-lion incarnation, and killed the atheist king. Thus, the Lord is
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. We lost you.
Yes, Maharaj, I think we lost him.
Okay, so I'll read. Thus the Lord is within everything, and he creates everything by his different energies. Through his inconceivable powers, he can appear at any place in order to favor his sincere devotee. Lord Nrsingadev appeared from within the pillar, not by the order of the atheistic king, but by the wish of his devotee Prahlad. An atheist cannot order the Lord to appear, but the Lord will appear anywhere and everywhere to show mercy to his devotee. Bhagavad Gita 4:8 similarly states that the Lord appears in order to vanquish non-believers and protect believers. Of course, the Lord has sufficient energies and agents who can vanquish atheists, but it pleases him to personally favor a devotee. Therefore, he descends as an incarnation. Actually, he descends only to favor his devotees and not for any other purpose. So we're hearing this story of this pastime of Lord Nrsingadev appearing, and Prabhupada is pointing out how the Lord appeared from the pillar. And he said the Lord can appear from anywhere. Anywhere and everywhere. Just like, where did Lord Varaha appear from? Anybody know? Where did Lord Varaha come from?
Brahma's nostril.
Nose of Brahma.
Right, from the nostril of Brahma.
Nostril is small size of like mustard seed.
So atheists, they cannot understand this. They cannot appreciate these things. The atheist, Prabhupada said, atheists cannot order the Lord to appear. Hiranyakashipu, he was telling, where is his God? But Lord Nrsingadev appeared to please Prahlad, not just to kill Hiranyakashipu. If he just wanted to kill Hiranyakashipu, he could have done that, give him a heart attack, right? The Lord is already there in the heart of the demons, and he can just simply give them the heart attack. But his real purpose in coming is to associate with his devotees. So Lord Nrsingadev came to be with Prahlad Maharaj and to hear the wonderful prayers offered by Prahlad Maharaj. So this is the purpose of the Lord's appearance, that he gets pleasure from being with his devotees. It's important for us to understand how important it is to cultivate our devotion. And then we will feel Krishna's presence. You can feel Krishna with us, guiding us. If we cultivate that, if we consciously make an effort to remember Krishna. All right, let's see, somebody else here to read for us? Who's not read yet? Oh, Sasvat Chaitanya.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes, Prabhu, can you read for us, please? Brahma
Yeah,
Samhita.
in the Brahma Samhita 5.35, it is said that Govinda, the primeval Lord, enters everything by his plenary portion. He enters the universe as well as all the atoms of the universe. He is outside in his Virat form, and he is within everything as Antaryami. As Antaryami, he witnesses everything that is going on, and he awards us the results of our actions as karma phala. We ourselves may forget what we have done in previous lives, but because the Lord witness our actions, the result of our actions are always there, and we have to undergo the reactions nonetheless. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so the Lord is there, witnessing everything.
Yes,
He enters the universe by his plenary. How does he enter the universe?
As a Paramatma.
Well, yeah, that he enters the atoms of the universe as Paramatma. Initially, during the time of creation, he enters the universe as Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, and then Shirodakashayi Vishnu, Paramatma, and so within everything as Antaryami, and outside of everything is the Virat in the form of the universe. And so he's everywhere and everything. And then Prabhupada goes on to speak about the results of our work, the karma phala. We don't remember past life, but Krishna remembers. He's got perfect memory, can remember everything. We don't remember all the bad things we did, but he remembers. And we also get rewarded for the good things we did. So we make a point to stay away from sinful activities. We may think nobody's seeing us, but the government may not see, the police department may not see, but the Lord witnesses everything because of his omnipresence, because he's everywhere. He can see everything. So we have to be very conscious and act properly. All right?
Yes.
So one more paragraph. Would you like to read it first, Prabhu, please? Go ahead.
Yeah, the fact is that there is nothing but God within and without. Everything is a manifestation of his different energies, like the heat and light emanating from a fire. And in this way, there is a oneness among his diverse energies. Although there is a oneness, however, the Lord in his personal form still enjoys unlimitedly all the pleasures enjoyed minutely by the tiny part and parcel living entities. Hare Krishna.
So there's nothing but God. You see that you can see this is very pleasing to the impersonalists. Impersonalists, they'll enjoy very much this last paragraph here, that there's nothing but God within and without. It's all one. And Prabhupada even speaks about the oneness. In this way, there is a oneness among his diverse energies. Everything is different at the different energies of God. But he says at the same time, the Lord is there in his personal feature, and he enjoys all so many different ways. He's enjoying with his devotees. Okay. Any questions on this mantra? So no questions. We'll go ahead to mantra 6, because we're supposed to cover, according to the schedule, we're supposed to cover 2 verses tonight. A bit difficult. I never did it that way before. I usually take one night to one class for each mantra. Anyway, we'll try. Mantra 6. Please repeat. Yastu sarvani bhutani.
Yastu sarvani bhutani
Atmani vanupashyati.
Vanupashyati.
Sarva bhuteshu chatmanam.
Sarvabhuteshu
Tatona vidyagupsate. I remember when I first became a devotee, when I joined the Krishna consciousness movement, every morning we would chant all the verses of the Isopanisad. You know, just like often we chant Shikshastika, but we were chanting Isopanisad. And very nice. It doesn't take long. You can also do it. And if you do it every day, then you soon get familiar with it. It's very nice to recite scriptures. Okay, so mantra 6. We'll have some, let's see, people to read for us. Tribanga Gopal Prabhu is here.
Krishna Maharaj, yes Maharaj, Dandapana Maharaj.
Dandabat Pranams Prabhu, please read for us.
Translation. He who sees everything in relation to the Supreme Lord, who sees all living entities as his parts and parcels, and who see the Supreme Lord within everything, never hates anything or any being.
Okay, very nice. We're hearing about transcendental vision. We've been hearing about the Lord. Now we're going to hear about the Lord's devotees. Okay, please, yes, purport. Continue.
Purport. Yeah. Purport. There is a description of the Mahabhagavata, the great personality who sees everything in relation to the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. The Supreme Lord's presence is realized in 3 stages. The Kanishta Adhikari is the lowest stage of realization. He goes to the place of worship such as temple, church or mosque according to his religious faith and worship there according to scriptural injunctions. Devotees in the stage consider the Lords to be present at the place of worship and nowhere else. They cannot ascertain who is in what position in devotional service, nor can they tell who has realized the Supreme Lord. Such devotees follow the routine formulas and sometimes quarrel among themselves, considering one type of devotion is better than another. These Kanishta Adhikaris are actually materialistic devotees who are simply trying to transcend the material boundary to reach the spiritual plane.
Very good. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Dandapana.
So the mantra, initially, the mantra which we read, mantra number 6, was describing the Mahabhagavat devotee, right? Prabhupada said, Mahabhagavat devotee, that he sees everything in relation to God. And he sees all life as being parts of God. And he doesn't hate anything or anyone. So this is that's a very advanced level, right? To be on that level. Prahlad Maharaj is a Mahabhagavat devotee. But then Prabhupada goes on to talk about how the Lord's presence is understood in different stages. And he talks first of all about the lowest stage, the Kanishta Adhikari. Kanishta, he's a devotee. He's also a religious person. He's pious. He goes to church or he goes to temple or mosque and he worships there. But he has very limited understanding. They think that God is only in the place of worship, that he's only in the temple or he's only in the church. They cannot understand that God is everywhere. And they certainly cannot understand that God is in the heart of everyone. They can understand that they cannot understand God in his different features. And Prabhupada talks about how they follow different routine formulas. So they do it in a ritualistic way. They follow the different programs. Like in South India, people come with the coconut, break the coconut at the temple, do these kind of things. Some tradition. You go to church, they put a few coins in the basket for the church. They give a little donation to the church. And they come to church on Sunday and pray. And the mosque, go to the mosque on Fridays, offer prayers. And sometimes they quarrel amongst themselves. We know about that. Well, that's because this is Kali Yuga. People quarrel with each other. We think my way of devotion is better than yours. We know in the history in South India, the Vaishnavas and the Shivites. The Shivites used to kill the Vaishnavas. Ramanujacharya suffered his servant, what was the name of his brother? The one who was serving Ramanuja? His eyes were burnt out by one of the Shivite kings. So these kind of dealings were going on in the history of the world, everywhere in India, and then the great Christian crusades was also a war. All the wars practically which took place is all to do with people having different devotion, different kinds of faith, and they fight with each other. And so this is Kanishta Adhikari mood. Prabhupada said materialistic devotees, they're still in the bodily concept of life. They haven't really come up to the spiritual platform. And they often criticize the devotees, those who are on the transcendental platform. They're criticized by these materialistic people. All right, so that's the lower stage of devotion. They have weak faith and weak knowledge. We'll go ahead and go here from Gopi Jana. Is Gopi Jana Krishna here? Gopi Jana Krishna Prabhu here?
Maharaj, he is the organizer, Maharaj.
Oh, Uttama Krishna? Uttama Krishna Prabhu? No?
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Dandavat Pranam on your Hare Krishna Maharaj. Dandavat Pranam at your divine lotus feet.
Yeah, you can read those who have
who have attained the second stage of realization are called Madhyama Adhikaris. These devotees observe the distinctions between four categories of being: the Supreme Lord, the devotees of the Lord, the innocent who have no knowledge of the Lord, and four, the atheists who have no faith in the Lord and hate those devotional service. The Madhyama Adhikari behaves differently towards these four classes of person. He adores the Lord, considering him the object of love. He makes friends with those who are in devotional service. He tries to awaken the dormant love of God in the hearts of the innocent, and he avoids the atheist who deride the very name of the Lord. Above the Madhyama Adhikari is the Uttam.
Okay, stop there. Yeah, this is
here one small observation.
Yes.
In Vedas, the root and the books, few Upanishads, has some differences.
Yes.
I have book Ishu Upanishad with me, the hard binding books. With these books and Vedas, there are some discrepancies. Everything are not line by line, are not same.
Yes, it's true, Prabhu. This has been going on for many years. There's been a lot of changes, a lot of editing, so-called editing done. There's nothing I can do about it. you know.
But when I'll be reading, I'll be reading definitely this book, my manual. Definitely I will not go to net and then Vedabase to read. So which one I should take it as a guideline?
Well, I don't know if there'll be a big difference in the meaning, is there? Maybe some difference in the language, but I think the meaning will still be the same.
No, meaning is same, but if I write, because see, Maharaj, now suppose when I'm going to read, definitely suppose I'll be on the sofa sitting on that and I'm trying to read the book. So I'll be comfortable.
Can you precisely read one line or the para and then compare the difference? Don't generally talk. You are consuming everybody's time.
Okay, I will draw, Maharaj. What I said, I'm drawing. Sorry, Maharaj. Thank you.
Okay, Prabhu. Yeah, I mean, this is an ongoing problem. There is a lot, some people criticize. Anyway, Prabhupada wrote this Isopanisad a very long time ago. And initially, it was published in Bhakti Godhead before Prabhupada went to America. So later on, he published it in the book. And over the years, they have made a lot of changes. All of Prabhupada's books have made changes over the years. And generally, the meanings are the same. Some places, the changes were necessary, and some places, the changes were not. Anyway, I'm not a member of the BVT, so I don't have a right to get involved in this. We're hearing about the Madhyamadikari, intermediate stage, and 4 sections of people. Now, ideally, as devotees, we all want to come to this platform of the Madhyamadikari. We want to see these different classes of people, right? We want to see the Supreme Lord, and we offer worship to the Lord, and we will see the devotees of the Lord. We make friends with them, and the innocent people, they have no knowledge, we'll give them mercy. But the atheists or the blasphemers who have no faith and who hate those in devotional service, we just ignore them, we avoid them, just keep away. Why? Why do we just keep away from them? Why do we just ignore them? Anybody like to say? Any of you want to go and preach to the atheists?
Sandot Pranam Maharaj. Atheists, they can drive us into a discussion, and they will make our mind illusioned, and they will confuse us physically, and that can divert us from our devotional path sometimes.
Yes.
Because they are too much argumentative, and then they can just distract us totally.
Yeah, it's very difficult to defeat people. You know, even though you may give very good arguments, they'll just keep arguing back. They don't want to accept. They don't want to hear. And the result is they will speak a lot of blasphemy. They will speak very nastily. They will criticize the process of devotional service. They will criticize devotees, and they will say so many bad things. They will say offensive things. And if we hear it, if we listen to that, then we also become affected by it. We become implicated because because of our presence, they're inspired to speak nastily and to be offensive. So best thing is just to avoid them. Don't get into arguments with them. Just stay away from them. Because they're just going to be offensive. And if they become offensive, then what? If people are offensive, we should cut out their tongue. But we can't do that. So what do? We just leave the place. Stay away from them. It's an important point, right? Sometimes we think we can imitate Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya, he could go and he could, or Lord Nityananda, they could go to Jagai and Madhai and convert them, but you know, very difficult. You have to be very, very powerful. So we stay away from that. All right. So have we got time? Not much time left. Just to no, we don't have more time.
Yes, Maharaj.
We'll go on from this on Wednesday night in the next class. We'll continue from here. The Madhyam Adhikari. We've heard about the Kanista and the Madhyam. We'll hear about the Uttama, the topmost devotee, which is what was being actually described in Mantra 6. So you can look over that. We'll go on to Mantra 6. We'll finish Mantra 6 and we'll try to begin also Mantra 7. Okay. Are there any questions before we finish? Anybody? No?
Thanks.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. For the benefit of all the devotees, Maharaj, we ask the open book questions. How many to be written for this one, Maharaj?
Oh yeah, I was supposed to ask about that. Yes.
Yes, Maharaj.
I think well, at least one.
Anyone, Maharaj?
No, you should all write on the same one, but just leave it with me for 2 more days, and I'll tell you on Wednesday. I'll make a note that I have to ask on that. I'll just check with them and make sure, because Padmanayan and people who are organizing, they may have some requirement what they want there. But anyway, I'll definitely tell you on Wednesday about that.
Sure, Maharaj.
Thank you for asking about that. That's important, yeah. But everything else, any other question?
Maharaj, thank you very much for enlightening us. Just a small thing I want to clarify from you, that you very well told in the mantra 5 that once we do the in the Arch Vigraha is basically that one which when we do the Pran Pratishtha. So that is understood by the devotees. But one thing like devotees, even the picture of the Lord, also they respect as a means spiritual, because they think that Lord form in the means in the paper also is non-different from Lord. So, but it is not Pran Pratishtha is not there. But what we should understand, if we see any deity which is not done, the Pran Pratishtha is not done by devotee, or if there is a picture of the Lord. So how we should differentiate? We understand that everything is belong to Lord only, but still just for sometimes if we have some discussion, so what should be our understanding, Maharaj?
Well, Prabhupada did teach us that Krishna is there in his picture, and he even said the spiritual master is also there in this picture. He said like that. He said spiritual master was there in the picture. So certainly Krishna is there in this picture, even though Pran Pratishtha is not done for the pictures, but still Krishna is there. So we certainly want to be conscious and dealing with these things. It becomes a problem how to deal with them as the pictures get old, like publish calendars with pictures of Krishna, so what to do with the calendars and things like this. So some people, they will like to bury it in the earth. Some people will burn it. Some people will put it in the sea. When you want to dispose of things, these different options are there. Some people don't like burning, so you can simply bury it, put it in the ground. Paper, it will naturally go back to the earth. It came from the earth, it can go back to the earth. I don't know about Bahrain, you've got a lot of desert there. And you put stuff in the desert there. But Krishna's there. It's going to depend on the consciousness of every individual. Just like Prahlad Maharaj, because he's a Bhagavat devotee, Mahabhagavat devotee, he sees Krishna everywhere in everything. So certainly he's there in his picture, right? When you see Krishna's picture, we offer our respect. We certainly will offer some kind of respect to Krishna in the form of the picture. And people do worship pictures. Krishna is in oils, he's there in the paint. So it's all personal, a question of personal consciousness, how we see the Lord. And we're hearing Kanishta, Madhyam, Uttama. So the Uttama, they see Krishna everywhere, in everything. So you can have, what level are you going to be on? Certainly we should be at least Madhyam. Worship, we offer worship to the Lord. So you have a picture of the Lord, deal with it carefully. Take care of it. Is it okay?
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj.
All right, we'll finish here. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hey.
Bhakti Vinasa Narasimha Swami Maharaj ki
Jai.
Jai.
Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Jai. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj. Dandavat Pranam, Maharaj.
Dandavat Pranam, Maharaj.